I, 35 female, and my husband, 33, have 4 kids, a female kindergartner, a female toddler, and 2 young male toddler twins, and I'm a stay-at-home mom after the youngest 2 were born. I told my husband how much I was struggling to look after the kids and to look after the house. He said he'd be fine with getting someone to help, and asked me if I would want someone to look after the kids for me, or for someone to look after the house. I wanted as much time with my kids as possible and didn't want someone else filling in the parent role, so I asked him to hire someone to look after the house, so he did. We went through a few different people before we found the perfect person, his younger brother. He's a sweet kid, 21, and our kids love him, and I feel comfortable with him around, and we don't argue like some of the other maids and housekeepers we tried. When he first moved in, my husband gave him one of our guest rooms with an ensuite, and that was fine until now. On our property, there's a lovely small cottage. It's about a 20-minute walk from the main house. I've always loved this little cottage and have dreamt of living there when we give the kids the house when they're older. Well, since he's been living and working here for a year, my husband thought it would be a good idea to sell him the small cottage and a little bit of land around it. His reasoning was that just a guest room wasn't enough privacy and that we don't use the cottage at all, and he just wanted to sell it to his brother. And by sell, he means sell for way less than it's worth. I immediately said no, that I didn't want his brother to have the cottage. How unfair, he just gets to give it away to someone, especially someone who is only supposed to live here temporarily. He told me that 4 years, how long we planned to have him around, wasn't temporary. It is, and that it was his property that he was given by his grandmother before he even met me. I told him that it was unfair for him to lord this over me and that I should get a say in what happens in our home. I then threatened to tell his family what he was doing. His family didn't like his brother and would hate to know he was getting part of Grandma's house. He yelled at me and called me petty and spiteful. I'm not talking to him until he apologizes and agrees not to sell the cottage. He obviously thinks I'm the idiot, and I don't think I am. He's making choices about our house without consulting me and ignoring my input, and holding the fact that he owns our house over my head. So, am I the idiot? Edit. Younger brother was disowned for coming out as gay as a teen. You are the idiot. You had no problem with an arrangement that was all to your benefit, keeping brother-in-law in an arrested state for 4 years while you got everything you wanted. You live in their grandmother's house. Brother-in-law was also her grandson too, no? That was left exclusively to your husband. In other words, morally, your brother-in-law has more right to some consideration than you do. You say the brother-in-law has been the family's black sheep, and you're reveling in some prospective pot-stirring. You are acting in an unacceptably abusive manner, not talking, demanding an apology when you are, in fact, the one at fault. Grow up. You have a family situation that many, if not most people, would love, with relatives taking care of the home while you get to go out and enjoy your life with your kids. You knew it was inherited property when you moved there. What your husband does with that property is 100% his decision. It would be better for him if you could show a bit of gratitude for your situation. Since he can't do that, just shut up and let him do what he thinks is right. LOL, not gonna lie. I bet she thinks she's God's gift to men, lording it over. Oh honey, that's what you're doing. And I think her mentioning not being able to find maids or housekeepers because of arguments is a little telling of her personality. OP, you must humble yourself instead of being so arrogant and greedy. You keep it up, and brother-in-law won't be lifting a finger anymore to help, and I doubt you'll find another maid that will put up with your crap. The younger brother was disowned for coming out as gay as a teen. OP uses the family's bigotry to keep the younger brother as an indentured servant. What a massive idiot. Hard for me to vote for anything, but you are the idiot. Normally I'm big on the whole 2 yes, 1 no thing for big financial decisions, but the rest of the context here just screams out idiot. This is marriage-ending stuff right here. I hope it doesn't come to that, but this is the sort of resentment-making shenanigans that will poison things for a long, long time. I, 57 female, have 2 sons, Sam, 28, and Alex, 25. My husband, Dean, was more money-minded than me and took care of all our finances. He passed away last year and left me with everything. I was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I thought it best to sort out all the finances. Alex helped me set up a meeting with Dean's lawyer, and I created a will. I chose to give the house to Alex and Sam 50-50. However, I added some stipulations for Sam. Sam isn't great at managing his money and has gambled in the past. I personally don't agree with gambling, but Sam is an adult and it is his money. However, I voiced my opinion about gambling more when Sam got married and had children, as his decisions would affect his wife and children. Their marriage was rocky 3 years ago when Sam told his wife he gambled away their rent and she was about to leave him. They managed to pull through, and since then Sam has joined Gamblers Anonymous. I want my house to stay in my family, as it has for the past 3 generations, and my lawyer told me about a life estate with a remainder interest. I wrote this for Sam, so the house will go straight to my grandchildren after Sam. Sam will only be able to live, not sell, and use the house, and after he passes, it will go straight to his children. Alex doesn't have these restrictions, but technically wouldn't be able to sell either, as he doesn't have Sam's permission. Alex's portion is willing straight to him though. I hosted dinner at mine, inviting Sam and his family and Alex, and showed them my will. Sam got very upset when I explained my will, and he said I don't trust him over something that happened ages ago, and said I favour Alex. He's not talking to me. I'm not sure if I'm in the right here, and I just want Sam to talk to me. Not the idiot. For similar moral reasons, my parents are bypassing one SIB and settling their inheritance portion on their kids, grandkids, access at 18 for college fees, full access at 25. In the ensuing dust-up, my parents were like, look, it's not about you anymore, it's about your kids, and you should be okay with that. Since you're not, it solidifies our reasoning to give it to them. Exactly. Any addict will lie. They hold nothing sacred, most certainly not a valuable and nostalgic asset such as a family home. That property would get liquidated in a heartbeat and vaporized at the casino. Your son's anger likely is proof that you made the right call. I think splitting makes you the idiot. I can appreciate wanting to keep the house in the family and wanting Sam and his children to get something from the estate, but you're engineering a conflict by not giving the house to one of them. It's untenable for 2 families to co-occupy a home under most circumstances. If you can't trust Sam, give the house to Alex and get Sam some other compensation from the estate. The only way to get a fair split on the property is by selling it and dividing the cash. This is my thought as well. If you don't allow them to sell the house, how exactly do you see this playing out long term? They can't or won't both live in this house together raising your grandkids, as it doesn't sound like it's set up to be a 2-family home or duplex, and then even once it's willed to the grandkids, in 50 years when your son passes, then what? Is it a house co-owned by 3, 4 or 5 people? You're signing your kids up for a lifetime of conflict by forcing them to co-own an asset that will take time and money to maintain, regular expenses that need to be worked out, etc. It's a recipe for disaster. I, male 41, am a gay man with my husband, 38. We adopted 2 children, a toddler boy and a preschool girl, a sibling group a year ago. Everything is going smoothly, my son's very cheerful, and while my daughter took a while to attach, she's a lot more comfortable with us now after taking her to therapy and doing trauma-informed parenting. The problem started with my parents. They're relatively accepting of my sexuality, but they think I'm a self-hating black person. I am black and my husband is white. Most of my partners before my husband were also white. This is because I'm a place that is mostly white people, so that's just how it ended up. But my parents think otherwise. They think that I only like white guys because I'm a traitor. We eventually put that aside, however, and I explained to them that I'm proud of my roots and that having a white partner doesn't stop that. They stopped moaning about it after that. That was 5 years ago. But it all came back up after I adopted 2 white children with my partner last year. They were absolutely terrible to me and my husband. They called me a bounty bar, saying I'm black on the outside and white on the inside. My mother broke down crying because our African heritage will end here, since I have white children and my sister is child-free. They said my husband was making me a traitor, which made my husband cry. Despite the argument, I tried to forgive them. My husband always wanted me to forgive so our children could have grandparents, as his parents unfortunately passed away a while ago. It's been a few months since the argument, and recently my sister came around and told me that our parents had been saying awful things about my husband and children to her. That was the final straw. I called my parents the next day and told them that if they were never going to respect my family, they would never see them again. They said I was being too harsh and said that they were sorry and would change. But it's a pattern of behavior. They said they were okay with my white partner way back when we got married, but here they are complaining about him and my children behind our backs. My children are my priority, especially since they come from difficult backgrounds. They don't need grandparents like that. Absolutely not the idiot. No grandparents are still better than toxic grandparents. You are an amazing husband and father for putting your family first. It must be so difficult to make this decision. No one wants to cut their own parents off. Most people can't do it and end up causing more harm. Your children are so lucky to have you as a father. Your husband is also so lucky to be married to you. I swear to God, if I see one "you are the idiot," I will lose my faith in humanity. You are the idiot. To be honest, I see where your parents are coming from, as you seem like you subconsciously have a problem with your ethnic background. You primarily date white partners, both of your adopted children are white, and now you're cutting off your black family members. This does sound like a pattern. What really made me believe there was something to what your parents said is how you're overreacting to anything said or questioned. You cut them off for a comment that was said about you, not to you. Usually when people behave like that, there's an element of truth to what's being said. Maybe you need to ask yourself if anything your parents said may have some truth to it and why their statements bothered you so much. Are you serious right now? Are you one of his parents? Let's flip the script and say OP is a white woman dating a black woman and adopting black children. If OP's parents acted in the exact same way and called them a race traitor, I doubt this would be your response. The parents didn't just say horrible things. They made it clear they did not accept OP's husband or children because of their race. If that's not a reason to go no contact, I don't know what is. My daughter, Teen, caused a huge amount of damage to the family car around May. It was 100% her fault since she was texting while driving and went off the curb. She was fine, but the wheels and axles got messed up badly. It would cost around $3,000 to get it fixed. Luckily, our insurance covered that, even though our rates did go up, so the car got fixed. My wife and I decided she needed to pay it back as a punishment, so we had to get a job, fast food, and have been collecting her money after every pay period. This got back to my sister, and she blew up on me about stealing from our kid and called me an idiot. I need an outside opinion. The money we're taking goes into her college account. Her paychecks are pocket change to what my wife and I bring in. We don't need it. We're doing it as a lesson, that's it. Am I the idiot for taking my daughter's paycheck for the whole summer? Not the idiot. Actions have consequences. If she's old enough to have a driving license, she knows not to text and drive. Next time she'll be more responsible when driving a vehicle that's not hers. Plus, that could have resulted in a serious car crash. Hurt a third party. Your sister needs to mind her business and let you parent your kid. The money is the direct cost of her actions, not an arbitrary punishment. This is definitely an example of natural consequences. Though, how much has insurance gone up? Insurance covered the damage, which would have been a higher cost, the $3,000 out of pocket, or the increased liability on her insurance, because that should actually be factored into the consequence. You could have left her a percentage, 20 to 50%. I was looking for this, absolutely agree. If insurance paid for it and you don't need the money for a deductible, why are you taking her entire paycheck? The logical consequence here was to have her pay the increase in insurance, maybe her phone bill or something, since she was on her phone while driving. Maybe lose phone and or driving privileges for a bit. But taking a whole paycheck seems extreme, even if you are saving it for her. My wife, 34, and I, 32 male, have been happily married for 8 years. We have 2 kids, a young grammar school and a preschooler. Until recently, we've been able to divide our household chores and parenting duties equally effectively. About 6 months ago, my wife's TikTok and Instagram algorithms started showing her content that primarily involved criticism of men, particularly in terms of their contributions to marriages, parenting, and chores. I'm all for constructive discussions about gender roles and stuff like that, but the content I've seen from her account takes it to an extreme, stereotyping all men as lazy and neglectful. In the past few weeks, my wife began posting her own content about our personal life, portraying me as a negligent and uncaring husband and father who doesn't pull his weight around the house. I was really hurt when I saw these posts on our account, particularly because she has close friends and family members on both sides who follow her account and are reaching out to me asking if everything is okay in our marriage. now that she's posting her own content and not just reposting other videos she finds. Not only was her content way inaccurate, but I feel uncomfortable opening up these elements of my personal life to all our friends and family, let alone strangers who've also found themselves engaging. I attempted to discuss this with her. She shrugged it off and accused me of being insensitive to the struggles of women and not understanding her need for an outlet to vent. I completely lost my patience in front of the kids. I told her she was a keyboard warrior more interested in getting clout from toxic women on life than the reality of our life. I also told her she was being an ungrateful idiot and spreading lies about me and our marriage. As soon as I called her an idiot and saw her reaction to what I was saying and hearing my daughter starting to cry, I regretted it. She looked more sad than angry with what I was saying, and she just sort of shut down and hasn't spoken to me since, outside of very minimal conversations about breakfast or plans for the kids. I feel like I have a right to be upset about what she's saying on social media, but I think I took it way too far. I really don't know how to approach the rest of the discussion we need to have. So the question is, why is she posting these things? Is she blatantly lying, or does she see or feel something that isn't apparent? Is she being a trendy, attention-seeking sympathy junkie, or does she truly have an issue, regardless of how right or wrong it might be? OP, nobody but you can get to the bottom of this. You and your wife need to sit down and talk rationally about every aspect of your lives. If she has complaints, you need to listen. If you've replied to what she says, she needs to listen. Everything needs to be put on the table. Might you want a marriage counselor to moderate this discussion? That might be a good idea, but this needs to happen soon. I really don't know why she's doing this. I guess that her first post on the topic got more attention than she was expecting, which made her feel good. But she stonewalled me every time I brought it up. We share home duties. She primarily handles doctor's appointments. Since I cook, I take primary care of the kitchen, including grocery shopping and keeping a running inventory of what we have. This includes the kids' lunches, which she packs. Meal plans are me. Arranging events is sort of nebulous. I guess we kind of do those together. Yard work is on me. If my wife was trashing me on social media and our friends and family were seeing it, I'd be absolutely furious. I think I would leave for at least the night if I found that out, because I couldn't stand to be near her. Ugh. I'd be asking her very sincerely if she's unhappy in your marriage and if she's considering ending it. Honestly, it sounds like another person has been brainwashing her via social media. Not the idiot. Unfortunately, this may be the beginning of the end of your marriage.